Hello and welcome back to We Dive Deeper. Thank you so much for the response on this podcast. I absolutely love doing it. I love diving into people's brains, and the fact that people are enjoying it and responding to it is just huge. So thank you so much. If you'd like to support the podcast and me and everything that I do, then please head on over to patreon.com/Kate McGill and you get the episodes before anyone else. So if that's not a reason to sign up, I do not know what is. So the next 3 episodes were actually recorded in LA last week. I was lucky enough to go over there with 3 amazingly talented, wonderful women. One of them being Mree, which is spelled M-R-E-E. And she is one of the most, if not the most talented person I think I've ever met. She writes and produces and records all of her own stuff, and it's just so good. She's quite a shy and introverted person, and then when you see her sing live, which I was lucky enough to be able to see, the energy in the room just shifts, and it's like nothing I've ever experienced before. So if you haven't heard of her, please go check her out. You won't be disappointed. On social media, it's just at MREE Music, Mree Music. So without further ado, Mree, I'm going to dive into your brain in 3, 2, 1.
Hello.
Hello.
Thank you so much for doing this. Oh no, that was not what I was intending to do. I thought you were going to do a handshake and then I went like this.
Oh,
okay,
that
all
is
right.
so funny.
We're good. We're good.
So do you know how this works?
No.
So I've got 70 intrusive, personal, wonderful questions.
Okay.
And you're just going to pick a number between 1 and 70, and I'm going to ask you said question.
Okay.
Go.
So I just pick a number?
Yeah.
63?
63. Okay. Who was your favorite teacher?
Like, can I do not... Does that have to be school
No,
or...
it could be like a mentor or like...
Okay. I'd probably say my piano teacher.
Yeah.
If that counts.
Yeah.
I guess I started playing piano when I was like 4 or 5, like just around the house because my parents had a piano in the living room, and my mom signed me up with lessons, and my first teacher was like Miss Mree. She was this really sweet lady. I'd go to her house, and she really liked to play by the books. Like she really wanted to teach me theory, which I
can't stand theory.
Me neither.
It's the worst.
So I was like gonna quit because it didn't like feel right, because I would just like make my own little songs on piano at home and then show them to her, and she'd be like, oh, that's cute, and then just like go back to the book, and I just hated it so much.
Yeah.
But luckily my mom was like, she kind of saw that I had like some sort of talent with this, and she was like, I don't want you to quit just yet. And coincidentally, my parents have this antique store, and at the time there was a man living next door named Todd Lanka who teached a bunch of crazy instruments, and so she started me with lessons with him.
Yeah.
And it was really great because he like immediately kind of knew that I didn't really have a theory mind. I just wanted to like play and just like have fun with it. And so he really taught me how to play by ear, and we learned some theory, but it was really fun because he would ask me to pick any song that I really liked, and we'd play it on the stereo, and then he would teach me how to play that by ear.
Wow.
So,
I've never heard of any teacher, I don't think, of musically, of letting their like student just learn things by ear, or even teaching that. I didn't even know it could be taught. I thought it was just something that you just had, but that's amazing.
Yeah, I mean, I really don't know where I'd be if it wasn't for him. Like he really pushed that side of me that like wanted to create, and when I'd show him my pieces, he'd help me like how to like transcribe them and write them down, and it was really great to have a like professional person tell me that like this is something you should like look into pursuing. So
did that give you like a quiet confidence then? Were you like, maybe I'm actually good at this?
For sure. Like I mean, I'd always loved playing little things and just making my own little songs on piano, but I didn't really consider it being something I would do growing up until he kind of like just gave me that confidence and said,
That's
like,
amazing.
yeah. I kind of felt that in some capacity I'd be doing music, and I was like, maybe I'll be a piano teacher, or maybe I'll be like a piano composer.
Wow.
So this was like prior to any other like musical instruments.
Yeah, so how did it get onto singing?
So it was piano for quite some time, and growing up I was in like some choirs in school, just, you know, just regular choir class.
Yeah.
But it wasn't until I saw that movie Glitter with Mariah Carey.
I've never seen it.
It got a lot of hating on.
Did it?
People really didn't like. I mean, it's like a really cheesy movie, but I was like a teenager when I saw it, and I just like fell in love with her voice. Like, I don't think I really knew much of Mariah Carey, and watching that movie and like watching this really talented young woman like pursue her passions and succeed in this movie and in real life too, was so inspiring. And so I bought all of her CDs, and it was really at that point where I started like trying to like mimic the way she sang, like with runs and stuff, because I hadn't even tried. I didn't even know what a run was.
Yeah.
And then I was like, I just kind of tried to do it over and over and over again until I think maybe I learned it somehow, or it was in me and I didn't know it, but somehow there was this voice that I didn't know I had, that now I suddenly have access to. And so that was really exciting.
Amazing. Because I think I heard an interview, I think, I'm the biggest Ariana Grande fan in the world.
Oh, yeah.
But she had like a similar thing, I think, growing up, listening to Mariah Carey and Whitney and stuff, and she was just mimicking them, and that's...
Yeah.
So I'm wondering whether it's like your child vocal box just isn't formed, and so you can manipulate it more. I don't know, but
it sounds right.
that is one thing I massively envy, is just being able to do it, because it just feels like it's so fun. Is it like, and this is what I've always wanted to know, is it something that you control, or do you just go for it and it goes to the notes that you want to go to?
For me, I definitely need to know where I'm going.
Yeah.
Or else it'll sound really weird. Right. So like I need to think about it beforehand.
Yeah.
Yeah, before attempting.
And so were you always then from that point on like just confident music wise? Because when you start singing, it's like nothing I've ever heard. It's the most confident, certain, most insane voice. I mean, if you haven't heard Mree, go and listen. She's without doubt, one of the top 3 most talented people I've ever met in my entire life.
Oh my God, thank you so much.
Yeah, just so good. So was that like just certainty always there? Did you just kind of know that you were good?
I think once I figured out that voice, I definitely felt way more confident.
Yeah.
Like there was this weird part of me that felt like I have this thing and I need to show people. Because just with my piano itself, I just feel like there's tons of people who play piano, but like when I finally found this like voice that I had, I just felt like I want to show people, even though I was and am still kind of a shy person. It was weird to have this like really strong urge to be like, look at me, you know what I mean?
That's amazing. And so how did that like progress, and like how did you gain the like being a shy person, being like, I'm gonna start playing in front of people and uploading YouTube videos? Like, where did you acquire that level of like, fuck it, I'm just gonna do it? I
signed up for my middle school talent show. Was like the first step, because I had not sang in front of an audience before.
Wow, that Mree did it the same way.
Oh, she did?
Yeah.
Oh wow. Yeah. So I signed up and end up winning for that year.
Of course you did.
It was just like so good to feel like for the first time in my life, like people saw me as more than just the quiet girl in class.
Oh, that's amazing.
Yeah, so it was very validating, and it just felt so good, and I wanted to feel this again and again. So that's when I started posting on YouTube, which was, kind of easier because I didn't actually have to be in front of an audience. It's just like me and a camera, which is also kind of weird, but it's easier. I think it was easier at the time to like set up a camera by the piano and sing a song.
Yeah.
So that's how I started on YouTube.
And so do you still feel that in your life now, that's where you feel most confident, most yourself, and like and every other area of your life are like, oh, this is kind of weird, and then you get on stage and you're like, but this is where it feels great.
Yeah, it's a really weird thing. Like, I recently played a show, and like I just noticed most times that there's like a really like there's a side of me that comes out on stage that like I don't normally see in like everyday life. I'm a pretty like, I'd say, insecure person like normally, but when I'm on stage, I feel like I know I can command a room, which sounds like arrogant in a way.
No, it really doesn't. It sounds incredible and admirable, and I witnessed it yesterday. We were lucky enough, we all just kind of sat around the table and were singing together, and you were last, and we all knew it was going to be the best thing ever, but then you were like, oh, I'm nervous, this is weird, this was horrible. We were like, yeah, I know. And then, just like Keena said, this calm came over you, and it's kind of like it was just a different person in the room at that moment. But I find that fascinating and just so cool that you have that, like, such confidence in that area, and that is kind of what carries you through. Like, I think that's amazing.
It's honestly like really fun because like while I'm performing, it's kind of like a game I play in my head. Like I know what it could sound like, and it's like the game is to get it to sound like what I have in my head. Cool. And so it's just fun, and it's really fun to be like the leader of something, kind of like I know everyone is listening to me, and I can control the pace, and I can control the volume. Like it's not something I actually have in like normal life. Like I don't like give speeches or stuff like that. So in this area of my life, it's really like rewarding and just like fun.
Yeah, because I can imagine if I were you, meeting people and say shy people kind of get overlooked or spoken over or whatever, I can imagine it being like this kind of like haha, like a deep knowing of when you actually hear me sing, you'll take me seriously.
Yeah,
because I bet that's the coolest moment when you see their faces drop and you're like, fucking hell, that girl's good.
Yes, that felt as like for the talent show, like that was like that just felt so good.
Yeah.
And like even like playing gigs and stuff, like when I arrived there and like get my gear sorted out, people like the sound people there kind of just like, oh, like, so like what do you need, and like they don't actually take me super seriously, like, but once I start like sound checking and they like realize that like I'm a professional, like I do this, they like change their tune and they're like, oh, okay, so yeah, let's put some reverb on this. I'm like, yeah, thank you. Like,
yeah, I kind of knew I wanted that.
Yeah, so
man, that's so cool. Right, pick another number.
Okay, maybe 14.
14. Okay, this is positive.
Okay,
what are you most determined to do in your life?
Wow. Okay.
Yeah. I guess besides music, if you want to make that a career, what else are you most determined to do?
Most determined, I feel like I feel like when I think of determination, I think mostly about like my passions and stuff like that.
Yeah.
So music is definitely a big part of that.
Yeah.
I think mainly like why I do what I do is it's for a lot of reasons. It's like I want to like express myself in a way I don't know how. Like I just don't have any other medium. Like this is, I feel like, the only way I can truly like show who I am to the world. So there's that, and also like being able to connect to people and like and have them like relate to what I'm going through. Because like I mentioned, like as a shy person or an introverted person, it's sometimes difficult for me to find like my kind of like crowd or people I feel like really comfortable around. Yeah. And through my music, I found like people who come to my shows and who write me are like very much like me also. And so it's just like, I think to continue doing that like is such a dream, and like I want to see that through. And whether that's like, you know, it's more music videos, or like I have really wonderful dreams of like shows with like falling snow and like dancers, and so like I have cool. Like I would love to see that actually happen, because I have such a clear vision of it in my head, and I want that so bad. So I think musically, like that's kind of what I'm wanting to do, and just spread as much like comfort and hope and love as I can through it.
You're like doing it. You're literally living that dream. How cool is that though? I like we've been saying the last couple of days, how lucky we are to be able to come to LA to see you guys and for us to hang out and stuff. Like, I never want to take that for granted.
No.
It's the most, and yeah, that determination to just be like, man, I'm in the best thing ever. I need to make sure this carries on because it's so good.
It's incredible. Like, I don't believe that like I get to do this as my job.
I know.
It's like I get to wake up and kind of decide my schedule and just like focus on how can I convey what I'm feeling today.
Yeah.
And it's really just a blessing to be able to do this, because not a lot
And what
of people
about
can.
like emotionally? Because I know for me, I have a determination to make my relationship last. That's like huge for me. And I have a determination to be happy, which sounds vague, but I guess the long answer of that would be to not let things affect me so much. Like I really have a determination to make sure that I succeed at some point in that. I don't know what that looks like. I imagine over a long period of time I'll just get better at it, but I don't want to be a slave to my emotions too. So that's kind of something else I'm determined to do.
Yeah, definitely same. I feel like I definitely am very swayed by my emotions for sure, and that's like something I really want to work on. And it's like funny because when I'm around people, I'm like a people pleaser, so like I would never show people that I am like upset or like angry, but when I'm like with my close, like with Henry or like with my family or something, like they'll know for sure when I'm down or when I'm sad or I'm angry. Like I can't hide that. And I wish like in the future I can get better at just like kind of getting perspective on the situation, realizing like most things are pretty fine, and I'm just like making a big deal out of very small things.
Yeah, because I am, like we've discussed, super sensitive too. The smallest thing will set me off. And I look at my peers and like Josh and my family and stuff, and if I explain the situation to them, I'm like, that really hurt me. They'll be like, Kate, that's really stupid. Like, he obviously didn't mean it like that, or, you know, whatever. And I'm like, damn, why does my brain do this to me?
Yeah,
it doesn't feel like it's my friend. But then the opposite side to that is that would we be able to do what we do if we weren't as sensitive? Maybe we wouldn't be able to feel as much as we feel. And that sounds like lame as fuck, but
no,
it's kind of true.
No, I think that's very true. And that's kind of why I like kind of take, is pride the right word? In like in the fact that I am like a more quiet person. I just feel like because I am the way I am, like I just take in more stuff around me, and now have more like in the well of emotions and experiences to like then turn into songs or, you know, figure out what's going on in my head through music. So I feel like I'm definitely like it's bittersweet because like I feel like I can write more and interesting things,
but then life is so much harder.
I wish I could just like turn it off whenever I wanted to. And
so did you always consider yourself a quiet and shy person? Was that just who you were as a girl?
For sure. And I recently watched some like home videos from when we were kids, and it was actually surprising to me like how like I was actually kind of like loud, but I was with my family, so it's different. Like I think I've always been very quiet around strangers and people I didn't know.
I wonder why that is. Do you any kind of situation that made you just go in your shell and never kind of come out? Or
I just have always like been very scared of getting in trouble, like being like reprimanded in any way. Like that has always just been a big thing for me. So like even in school, like I remember the teachers being like, you have to bring a pencil to class every day, and like I would always do that. But then one day I forgot my pencil case at home, and I was like freaking out. Like I was just like, I could not deal with it. And so like I faked like having cramps, and I went to the nurse's office and just like stayed there because I just couldn't deal with a teacher being like mad at me for not bringing a pencil to class. I don't know why I feel so strongly about like letting people down or making people upset, but that's like I think maybe why I am more of a reserved person, because I feel like sometimes maybe something I say or something I do might offend someone, and that's the last thing I would want to do.
And does that kind of carry on in your day-to-day life now? Like if you, I mean, obviously we're adults, but like if you got in trouble or you upset someone, would it affect you way more than...
Yes. Like, I think that's definitely why I have such a big fear of driving. Like, it's not so much that, like, it is dangerous, you know, you can really hurt somebody. But for me, my fear is more of, like, making a mistake and then the person, like, getting mad at me. Like, it's, like, the social part of it that really freaks me out.
Yeah.
So it definitely, like, carries out.
Yeah. And does that, like, have you experienced anxiety then? Is that, like, a part of your life?
Yeah, I'd say so. And that I haven't really put that word on it until, like, a couple months ago. Like, I didn't know what I was experiencing. Like, I had, like, seen a therapist, but that word was never, like, I don't think I was seeing the right person, because when I explained it to people, they're like, oh, you, like, have anxiety issues. And I was like, oh, like, that's what that is? And when I looked it up, it was like, oh, yeah, this is everything I'm experiencing. So I think now having put, like, a term with it, like, can help me kind of get over it in a way. Just, like, I know, like, I can seek help with this. Yeah. Because otherwise I'd be like, I'm feeling this way, I don't know why.
Yeah. How does it affect your day-to-day? Because I've never experienced it, but as I've said before, I'm sure, like, it sounds awful.
I feel like most of the time it's not something that, like, stops me from doing things, but I have found lately that, like, I don't really want to leave the house. Like, I feel anxious about people, like, talking to me on the street, or, like, having to have a conversation with the person at the grocery store. Yeah. I don't know, like, I just have so much, like, anxiety about, like, what do I say? And, like, what if I say something weird? Or, like, what if they think I'm being standoffish? Like, just, so I feel like maybe more now in a weird way than ever, it's kind of been maybe stopping me from doing things I should be doing, like driving and, like, going out of my house more. So I do want to get a handle on it and just, like, kind of do the things I want to do because I want to, and not, like, stop because I'm afraid.
Yeah. Do you find meditation helps?
Yeah.
When we do it, obviously.
Yeah. I have fallen off my routine, like, majorly, but I have found that, like, when I meditate, like, especially in the morning, like, it kind of sets my day up right. And what I have done in the past and what I want to keep doing is, the therapist I had been seeing at the time was, like, she told me to, like, make, like, a personal mantra kind of thing. Like, so if you're feeling, like, anxious, you write down anxious, and if you're feeling unconfident, you write unconfident, and then you write, so, but then afterwards you write the opposites. So instead of, like, unconfident, I feel confident, I feel calm, I feel secure. Like, I would just say those opposites, like, throughout the day, and remind myself, like, just by saying I am this, like, already I think your body kind of,
it steps up a little bit.
Yeah. And so I found that to be very helpful.
Yeah. And I'm curious as to whether, like, the anxiousness ever affects you talking to fans, like, after a show. Is that nerve-wracking? Because I guess they're all there to see and love you. So
that's, like, the only social, like, situation where I feel like I'm fine. Because,
that's amazing, isn't it? Because, that's so cool.
Yeah, I feel like I don't have to prove myself to anybody. They're there to see me, and, like, I already feel included and liked, so I actually, like, I really enjoy it. I don't find that to be very anxiety-ridden.
That's so cool. And then you set up your crafts meetup thing, right?
Yeah.
Where did that idea come from? Because that must have been, like, the first time you going there and meeting these people. Was that like, what the hell have I just done? This is so nerve-wracking.
Yeah, it's been really wonderful. I just wanted to find a way to connect with people, and I love doing crafts, and I love baking, and so I just decided, like, you know, I've spent so much time, like, fearing, like, going out and meeting people. If I have control over the situation, I know I can deliver. Like, it's kind of the same thing as, like, when I perform live. It's like when I know I have, like, control, and I know that I'm, like, a leader of sorts, then I know, like, I can step up.
That's so cool.
I wish I could feel that way all the time.
I know,
but
it's like black and white. You've got such areas of your life that are so good, and you feel like a leader, and then other areas you're like, shit, if I do something wrong, I'm gonna...
Yes.
That's crazy.
Yeah, that's weird.
I hope I'm not making you feel like you're
No,
weird.
no,
You
no,
are
no.
mental.
I am crazy. No, but I also, like, I know that it's such a common thing. So many people walking around have, like, so many different kinds of anxiety. And usually, like, when I'm worrying about, like, what did I say? They're probably worrying, like, oh, what did I say? You know, like, people are very, they think about themselves also.
Yeah.
So,
and I think in this society and day and age, people overthink just everything.
Yeah.
Our brains aren't meant to be on overdrive constantly. And
yeah.
anxiety, wasn't it? I feel like my mum told me once, like, the fear and anxiousness comes from, like, when you were cave people and you had lions chasing you. But
Yeah.
we don't have that now. And yet
No.
those things are still there, those emotions are still there, but
Yeah.
they're just not needed anymore.
We don't need them now. Like, we'll be okay if, like, we hand a paper in late.
Exactly.
Like, we'll be fine. But, like, yeah, that part of our brain that used to tell us, like, get out of here. Like,
Yeah.
you're gonna die.
Yeah.
Like, we normally in everyday life don't actually need those responses.
Yeah. Okay, right, pick another number.
Okay, let's do 12.
12. You can't go wrong with 12. Have you ever lost someone close to you?
Oh.
I guess it doesn't need to be death.
Yeah. Lost someone close to me. I mean, I've been very, very fortunate that I haven't really experienced that. Like, in high school, there was a friend who was in my friend group who did pass away.
Wow.
And it was very surreal. And yeah, okay. Now thinking about it, it was actually very difficult.
Oh,
Oh no.
Oh, I'm so sorry. What happened?
Okay, so her name was Jenna, and she was in our friend group throughout high school, and all of a sudden it just kind of happened very quickly. Like, she had to go to the hospital, and, like, over time, like, it just, I don't know how to explain it. It was just, it was very surreal, and, like, not having experienced that before, it was hard to, like, come to terms with the fact that someone can be here and then all of a sudden not.
Yeah.
And I was really fortunate that, like, my friends were all there and we could go through this together.
We were all in the same boat.
Yeah, yeah. And she loved music. She was such a beautiful singer. And at her funeral, the whole choir in school, we went there and sang for her. And,
wow.
And it was beautiful. I mean, also so sad, but it's amazing how music can, like, help you go through things. And I actually, my song Little Bird is about that.
Wow, I had no idea.
Yeah.
Wow. What happened to her, if you don't mind me asking?
She had, I don't remember exactly what it was, but it was in her brain. And like, seeing her body transform, and her, you know, she started to look different, and she lost her hair, and it was just, she went from this person who, like, had sleepovers and, like, talk all the time to someone who eventually couldn't really communicate with. And
oh my god, I can't even imagine how difficult that was.
Yeah, I mean, it wasn't like we were, like, best friends or, like, a family member, but I mean, yeah, I guess that was kind of a thing.
And I guess if it's still, like, that response still happens inside of you, it must have been a very hard thing, even if nowadays it doesn't affect you. But
yeah.
And I guess it's at that age as well, you don't expect to go through something at that age, but then for it to be so close to you as well, like, the so close to home thing makes it feel even scarier.
Yeah.
Right, okay, pick another number.
Okay, 24.
Okay, when do you feel lonely?
Okay. When do I feel lonely? I find that I feel, like, very lonely when I'm really, really down, which it makes sense, but, like when when I'm depressed or when I like start going down that path, like I'll just kind of like sit with myself and be like the thought that there's no one right now that can make me not feel the way I'm feeling. Like that's when I feel like I'm by myself. Like no one can get me out of this. That's kind of when I feel just like I'm the only one, you know?
And like we've said in the last couple of days, it's that kind of realization of it's just us, really. We come into this world alone, kind of, through a vagina. But then you leave alone. Like, you're doing this whole life alone. And yes, you have partners and friends and stuff. But like you said, when you're in those like holes or in the really bad bouts of stuff, it's only you that can get yourself out of those.
Yeah.
And that's really, really like a lonely feeling. And I find that I feel fine going through life and I'm like, I've got friends to talk to, life feels good. And then the moment I'm in the worst patch ever and I'm crying, my brain goes, I am so alone. Yes. No one can help me.
Yeah, like those are the exact words that I tell myself too. It's
I also find that, like, sorry to interrupt.
No, you're good.
I also find that I have loads of friends that are like, just reach out, talk to me. But when I'm in those lows, I just don't want to talk to anyone.
I don't want to talk at all.
No, and I almost, like, I want to sit in that loneliness and I want to soak it up and I want to... How weird is that? I don't even want to get out of it a lot of the time. I just want to sit there and feel crap.
Yes, I know. It's this weird, like... I don't, like, am I wallowing in it? Like, I don't know actually why I don't actually do the things that I know would make me feel better. It's just, like, when I'm that low, it kind of feels like that's reality, and anything other than that, like when I'm actually happy, that's fake.
Yeah.
But when I'm happy and, like, things are fine, I'm like, oh, that's distorted. Yeah. So, like, I kind of just feel like when I'm in it, it's just, like, why would I try getting out of it? Because that reality is fake. Like,
wow, that's interesting.
I kind of just feel like, I just feel like there's no point. Kind of.
How often do you feel low in your, like, day-to-day life? And are there certain things that trigger it?
Yes, for sure. Like, normally, I don't, like, that's not naturally where I go. Like, normally, I'm fine. But, like, if something happens, like, if I do something wrong and I get in trouble, like, if anything like that happens, I just like dive down there. Like, it's kind of like instant. Like, I just like stop talking and I can't even like move my body. I just feel like paralyzed. Like, I feel embarrassed and ashamed and I can't like leave this place that I'm in.
Wow. And how long are you in those lows? How long does it take you to bring yourself out of them?
Oh, I feel like it varies. Usually what helps me, and I was talking about this the other night, CBT, cognitive behavioral therapy.
Yeah, so explain that again.
So, like, you go through different steps, and I think there's, like, maybe 5 or 6 of them, and, like, what you do is, like, I'm probably saying in the wrong order, but you state, like, what happened, like, what the situation was, then you state, like, how you're feeling, like what are your emotions, and then rate that on a scale from 1 to 100%. Like, so if like someone got mad at me for something, like I'll use driving as an example. Like, so I cut someone off, so that's what happened, and then I'd write like I feel embarrassed, I feel sad, I feel like ashamed, and I'll like rate them like 90%, 80%. You know, like you'll put a percentage, and then I think you write like, I can't remember. Basically, you do those things, and then you start like you label what your brain is doing. So like when I say, oh sorry, let me go back. So after you rate your feelings, you write like what were your thoughts? Like, what were the thoughts that ran through your mind that made you have that feeling? So I would say, my brain told me I was a terrible person, that I am stupid and, like, should never, like, drive again. And, like, that's what my brain's telling myself. And so after that, you look at your sentences and you write, you write what kind of distorted thinking you're doing. There's, like, you're catastrophizing, magnifying, there's black and white thinking. Like, there's a list of all different ones, but you like actually put a label on it, so you know, like, that thing my brain was doing is like it's not true. It's a distorted thought.
Right.
So after that, you kind of like, you get perspective, and like you make a case for yourself. Like, I cut that person off because I didn't realize that like I had a stop sign, or like I'm not like, I don't know what situation we're in, but like you say like also like I haven't been driving that long. Like, I'm a new driver. These things happen to new drivers. Like, it's just part of learning. They probably don't remember that this happened. People get honked at all the time. Like, so you try and like you make a case for yourself. Yeah. And so after that, you rewrite your feelings, and I always find that my like emotion percentages are significantly lower. So what was 80 is now 15. What is like they drastically drop.
Wow.
And so when I'm able to do that and like go through that, and it's always like I have to write it out. I can't just think it. Like for me, I need to like write those words out. Usually that can lift me out of it. But it's really difficult when you're feeling that low. Like, I don't want to like write a paper right now, you know? So I usually, like, I told Henry, like, when I feel so low, I need you to grab my laptop. I need to put it in front of me and turn it on, and I can write in my journal. Yeah. And, like, I don't think I've ever had a time where that hasn't helped me. Like,
That's amazing.
Always is usually, it makes me feel a lot better.
And such a practical tool for the mind as well. Like, so many other people just be like, just go outside for a walk, or like, I don't know. I mean, and those are helpful.
They are,
but to actually address the actual brain and what's going wrong, I feel like that's so much more beneficial.
Right, because our brains, like, they get in this pattern. Like, when something bad happens, you have these like pathways that would say like, oh, this is how you're going to feel, this is what your thought is. But over time, like, we can change that. We can change where it goes so that it doesn't go to like, you're a terrible person. It could be like, it's okay, like, you made a mistake and it's fine. Like, so it gives me hope that like someday when I do this enough times and I reteach my brain how to think, that I won't immediately go like down. So.
Do you reckon you will get to a point where you could maybe offend someone or hurt someone accidentally and feel okay about yourself? Or does that feel so way off?
I mean, because I've only lived my life that way, I feel like, how could I ever not feel those feelings? But I think like maybe I'll have a thought, I'll have like a split second where I'm like, oh my God, I can't believe I did that. But then be able to reason with myself pretty quickly that like I didn't like kill anybody. Like,
you're okay.
It's okay, So I think it's definitely possible, but it would take a lot of work.
I know. The amount of times I can think about this future me that has it all sorted, and she's slimmer, she's meditating every day, but it feels so far off. And one of those things for me as well is just not reacting to things so quickly, and being able to step back and look at your thoughts and be like, I'm going crazy here. Like, that is not the way it is in real life. And so, how does your career in music, because it's so up and down, we've definitely discussed this and how hard that is, how does that affect your brain? Because it really affects me, the getting up and trying to motivate yourself and trying to get yourself to do exercise or look after yourself. I've been talking to Josh even just briefly, and he's not seen anyone all weekend, and that's kind of like my week. I don't see anyone in the week, and he's like, I was slipping into, I don't even want to leave the house, I'm not going to go and even get food. Like, he slipped into that so quickly. And even was wanting to cancel things that he used to love to do. And he's like, no wonder you find this so difficult.
It is, like, as wonderful it is to be able to do this, to be able to like work from wherever, like wherever your studio is, but like and like make your own schedules, like that's amazing, and it's really a privilege. But it also is really hard to be your own boss and be the one who's making your own schedules. Like, I found it really, really hard to like find a routine for myself and stick to it. And I sometimes like envy people who have like a boss and someone they can answer to, because I feel like, I mean, I was always a good student. I did really well in school, and I do well with structure and with like someone, like whenever there's like a possible punishment, I always do the job. But like the punishment for me is just like, I feel bad about myself. Like I'm not hurting anyone else, or like I'm not like, it doesn't affect anyone else really, just me. And that, a lot of times that's not enough motivation. So it's really hard to like get going.
And do you beat yourself up? Because I do.
Oh, for sure. Yeah, absolutely. Like, even days where I, like, do happen to get some stuff done, if it's not, like, you wrote a really great song today and produced a really great song, if it's not, like, those big achievements, I kind of feel like it was a waste of a day, which is so terrible. But it's hard to not think that way sometimes.
Yeah,
especially, like, where... in a society where everyone is like, you need to be busy and you gotta be drained all the time and you have to live off of 3 hours of sleep. Like, in college, like, that's just like, people are like, I only got 4 hours and I only got 3. I'm like,
I know,
why?
like, how is that a good thing? Why are people trying to promote that? Like, the glorification of busy.
It's so toxic.
Yeah.
And so that, it definitely gets to me when I see other people, and like through social media too.
Oh,
like,
man.
Of course, like, you know, you're not gonna post just a picture of you like on a bad day, although I am seeing that movement, which is nice, and it is helpful to see, like, hey, no one's on all the time, like, people have off days. But it is difficult to not compare yourself, especially your lower days, when people are like posting about like getting all sorts of things you want in life. So
I find it basically impossible to go on Instagram or Twitter and come away feeling better. Like, that just doesn't happen. And I've kind of noticed a few times now when I wake up in the morning and I'll go straight to Twitter. I can almost physically feel my mood drop and my mind just deteriorating as I look, and I'm like, this so isn't good for me. Why do I continue this weird addiction that's not benefiting my life in any way?
It's weird. I mean, I do the same exact thing, and it's usually like, if I like make a post or something, I want to see like, how are people reacting to it? Like, it's like, I want to feel like I've done something, I've contributed in some way, and like, I want people to like accept me. Like, it's this weird thing, and it's kind of like, I feel like no matter what number it is, it's never going to be enough for you. Like, I'm always going to keep looking at it. Like, it's not actually like, oh, once I reach like 500 likes, I'll stop looking. Like, no, like, I'm gonna
get 1,000 probably.
Exactly. Like, it's a never-ending thing, and it's the same thing with, like, for me, it's like with Spotify. Like, Spotify numbers are just like, it's so bad for me to look at, because I'll compare myself to other artists and be like, well, if I don't have as many streams, it means I'm worse than them, or like, I'm not as like valuable and my music is not as good. But like, that's so not true. It's so not true. Like, when I look at artists that I love and who have changed my life, they have like smaller numbers, like I like almost like unbelievably low, like, and it's just like, it just goes to show, like, that doesn't mean anything. Like, I know I've been able to touch people, and like, it shouldn't mean that because I have like a lower number that doesn't mean anything. Like,
I wish there was a way to use social media as a tool, or like, you could just turn off viewing likes and comments or something. You could still post your stuff. I mean, I guess, to be fair, you could just post and then be like, okay, I won't look at it until I post next.
It's really hard.
It's so hard.
Yeah.
And like, I've definitely found in the past, like, I'll post something and then 5 minutes will go by and I'm like, oh no, it's only got X amount of likes. And I feel my brain going there. I'm like, Kate, your life does not revolve around this. I don't know why you care so much. But there's something... I feel sorry for people at school these days, like, because that wasn't a part of our growing up.
No.
And yet these people have to go to school and be like, oh, that girl in my year has X amount more followers than me and she gets these many likes. That would fuck you up as a kid.
I know, because like, I mean, when we were in school, like, there were obviously the popular people, but like, now there's like an actual number attached to that. Yes, and it just like, it kind of confirms that they're like, oh yeah, like, they're popular and I'm not. Like, that's gotta be so difficult. And like, you know, the whole like fear of missing out thing. Like, when I would come home from school, I would just like hang by myself and play video games, and I was perfectly fine with that. Like, I enjoyed that. But if I'm sure I saw like someone else posting like at the mall, like hanging out, or like bowling, I mean, I don't know what kids do. But like, if I saw that, I'd probably definitely feel so bad about myself. Be like, oh, like, I'm alone and I'm doing stupid stuff.
And technically we pretty much still do feel bad about ourselves when we go on and see everyone bowling, because we want to go bowling.
No, I know, that's so true. It's the same.
Except maybe our brains are just a bit more progressed and we can kind of notice it a bit more, but it's essentially the same thing.
Yeah, for sure.
Well, thank you so much for chatting.
Thanks for inviting me on
and
your
for sharing and, you know, being so great and open.
It's been a pleasure.
Yay. Bye.
Bye.